My dad chose my stepbrother's wedding over mine, so my grandpa walked me down the aisle and I inherited his lake house. I set my wedding date in March, a full year in advance. My fiancé Kyle and I sent save the dates to everyone, including my dad and his new family. He'd remarried 5 years earlier to Linda, who had a son named Brett from her first marriage. Brett was fine at first, kind of quiet, but he and my dad got really close, really fast. Too close. Like my dad suddenly became obsessed with being stepdad of the year. He'd miss my birthday dinners to go to Brett's college football games 3 hours away. He'd cancel our lunch plans because Brett needed help moving apartments. I tried not to be jealous, but it stung watching my dad put his stepson first constantly. In July, Brett got engaged to his girlfriend Ashley. They announced they were doing a destination wedding in Hawaii in October, same year as mine, just 6 months later. My dad called me right after he found out and I could already hear it in his voice. "Sweetie, I need to talk to you about something," he said, using that tone that meant bad news was coming. He explained that Brett's wedding was going to be expensive. The flights, the hotel, the whole week in Hawaii. Linda really wanted him there to support Brett since his real dad wasn't involved. And here's the part that made my stomach drop. He said he couldn't afford to do both weddings. Between Hawaii and my wedding in March, he had to pick one. I asked him which one he was picking. There was this long silence on the phone. Then he said Brett's wedding was happening first, so he needed to commit to that one. He promised he'd try to make mine work, but he couldn't guarantee it. I hung up and cried for 2 hours straight. My dad was choosing his stepson's destination wedding over walking his own daughter down the aisle. Kyle was furious. My mom, who'd been divorced from my dad for 10 years, called him and absolutely tore into him. But my dad stuck to his decision, said he'd already committed to Linda and Brett and he couldn't back out now. My grandpa, my mom's dad, heard about the whole thing and drove to my apartment that same week. He was 76 years old, had bad knees, but he sat down at my kitchen table and looked me dead in the eye. "I'll walk you down that aisle," he said. "And your father's an idiot." My grandpa had always been there for me. Baseball games, school plays, college graduation. He never missed anything important. So having him offer to step in meant everything. October came and went. My dad posted about 50 pictures from Hawaii on Facebook. Him and Brett surfing. Him and Linda at the beach. Big family dinner photos with Ashley's relatives. Not one message asking how my wedding planning was going. March finally arrived and my wedding day was perfect. The venue looked amazing. All my friends were there and Kyle looked so happy standing at the altar. When it came time to walk down the aisle, my grandpa took my arm. He was struggling a little bit because of his knees, but he refused to let anyone help him. "This is my job," he whispered. "Your dad's loss." Halfway down the aisle, I looked at the seats and saw my dad wasn't there. I knew he wouldn't be, but seeing that empty chair still hurt. My grandpa squeezed my hand and kept walking. After the ceremony, everyone was taking pictures and my phone buzzed. It was my dad texting that he was sorry he couldn't make it, but he hoped I had a beautiful day. I didn't respond. 3 months later, my grandpa passed away. It was sudden, a heart attack in his sleep. At the funeral, his lawyer pulled me aside and handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter from my grandpa and the deed to his lake house, the property he'd owned for 40 years where we'd spent every summer of my childhood. The letter said he'd watched my dad choose his new family over me again and again. That walking me down the aisle was one of the proudest moments of his life, and he wanted me to have the lake house because I deserved to know that someone would always choose me first. My dad showed up to the funeral, had the nerve to ask me about the will and if Grandpa left him anything. I told him Grandpa left the lake house to me. His face went completely white. That house was worth almost $500,000. He started saying how that wasn't fair, how he was Grandpa's son-in-law for 20 years, how he deserved something too. I looked at him and said, "You made your choice in October when you picked Hawaii over my wedding. Grandpa made his choice too." My dad tried to argue, but I walked away. I've been to the lake house twice since then. Both times I've thought about my grandpa and how he showed up when it mattered most. My dad still calls sometimes asking if we can talk about the house. I never answer.